Today, we're diving into a really powerful work of history. It's called Heirs of the Land. But listen, this is not your typical history book. Think of it more like a legal case, arguing for a completely new way of seeing the past. And it all kicks off with this single, really provocative question. Who are the true heirs of the Great Punjab? I mean, that's a question about identity, it's about land, and it's about a history that this book argues has been buried on purpose. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're not talking about a small pamphlet here. This is a massive 594-page book. And its central claim? It's an absolute bombshell. It says that the official history of the Sikh people, the one taught in both India and Pakistan, is flat out wrong. This is a direct challenge to the story that these nations have been telling for decades. So, first things first, we've got to understand the book's core premise. It's a claim to an ancient land, one that, according to the author, predates modern countries by thousands of years. And here's what makes this whole thing so unique. It's how the argument is being made. You see, this isn't just another history lecture. It's laid out like a solicitor's case, as if it were being argued in a court of law. Now, hold on, a quick but really important clarification. The author we're talking about is the person on the left, Professor Bhupinder Singh. He's a solicitor who specializes in Sikh history and law. It is absolutely crucial not to mix him up with Dr. Bhupinder Singh from Sharda University, on the right, whose work is in AI and blockchain. Our focus is 100% on the solicitor's historical deep dive. And when you look at his background, this whole approach makes perfect sense. See, he's not just some academic in an ivory tower. He's a practicing solicitor. He worked in India's Punjab and Haryana High Court before starting his own firm in the UK. So he comes at history like a cold case, sifting through the evidence with a lawyer's skeptical eye. Okay, so this brings us to the main conflict the book is trying to tackle. The author claims that Sikh history hasn't just been overlooked, he argues it's been actively diluted. And let me tell you, he does not pull any punches. The book's stated mission is to challenge histories written by what he calls Indian and Pakistan states-sponsored so-called historians. He accuses them of actively trying hard to dilute the Sikh revolution. To be perfectly clear, this is a direct shot at state-sponsored history. So you can really break his mission down into 3 key steps. First, he wants to challenge those official histories that push Sikh history to the margins. Then he moves to reclaim an ancient lineage that he says modern states have just ignored. And finally, the ultimate goal is to restore that revolutionary spirit to the heirs themselves. Now, this mission to reclaim an ancient lineage, well, this is where things get really fascinating and maybe even a little controversial. It leads to what the author calls the Harappan connection. Okay, here's the core of it. The book is arguing that the Sikh identity isn't a religion that just popped up in the 15th century, no. Instead, it's the powerful reawakening, a resurgence, of a much, much older civilization from that region that was suppressed for thousands of years. Just look at the scale of this timeline for a second. It is staggering. The author is drawing a direct, unbroken line from the ancient Harappan civilization all the way back in 2500 BCE, across a 4,000-year gap of what he calls suppression, right up to 1469. He's arguing the Sikh revolution wasn't some new beginning, but a reawakening of that ancient indigenous spirit. But you have to understand, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. The author connects these incredibly deep roots to the very real and ongoing Sikh revolution, arguing it has everything to do with today. The book then walks us through how this revolution was built, piece by piece, by the 10 gurus. It all started with the first Nanak's spiritual and social rebellion against the caste system. Then it was solidified by the 5th Nanak, who compiled the Holy Scripture and became the first great martyr. After that, the 6th Nanak established the idea of political and spiritual sovereignty, Miri Piri. And it all culminates with the 10th Nanak, who created the Khalsa, a collective body designed to carry that revolution forward. Every single step was a deliberate move. So what fuels this whole thing? Well, according to the author, it's a kind of spiritual engine. The basic idea is that you can't really achieve freedom out there in the world without first achieving it inside yourself. That means focusing on the divine word, the Shabad, to get over dubita, that internal doubt and duality that holds you back. It's a philosophy where spiritual clarity is the direct power source for political action. And this is where that ancient history crashes right into our modern world. The book argues that events like the 1947 partition, which literally tore the homeland in two, or the 1984 attack on the Golden Temple, these aren't just isolated tragedies. He sees them as the latest chapters in this very long struggle for sovereignty. And in a strange way, these traumas helped fuel the global diaspora that is now leading the charge for this kind of independent research. So after all this, what's the point of such a massive work? Well, it really all comes down to one fundamental question. Who gets to write our history? The author's answer is this number, 594. That's the page count. 594 pages of exhaustive, painstakingly cited research. This is not just an opinion piece. It's a comprehensive legal and historical case that has been built to withstand the most intense scrutiny. Nothing really captures the personal drive behind this project, quite like the author's own words. He writes that he will, quote, die in peace if this work inspires the historians to look at Harappa civilization and the Sikh revolution in its true inceptions. I mean, this isn't just a book, it's a legacy. It's a plea for history itself to be put back on trial. At the end of the day, Heirs of the Land is so much more than a history book. It's a powerful act of historical reclamation. It's basically a manifesto, providing the intellectual and spiritual tools for the survival and really the thriving of the Sikh identity in the 21st century. And that just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If it's true what they say, that history is written by the victors, then who gets to write the corrections?